Hello, welcome to another Ready Aim Roll video. Today we are taking a look at the GM core for Starfinder 2nd edition. First off, sorry this one's a bit late. I know I said I'd have these out on Mondays. Life got away from me, and other things, and I didn't get around to recording the video, so it's going to be here now. It's basically just a record and upload job now. I'll try and get around to thumbnails, but anyway, you're not here for excuses, you're here for the video. This is a 50 page? 256, I think. 58, 59, okay, 261 page book. We'll have a quick look at all the wonderful people's names who made this possible. Yeah. This, as you can tell, is the sort of retailer exclusive cover. It's got this sort of border on it that puts me in mind of like retro console covers. But yeah, that's what the cover would look like normally. Get our table of contents. One thing I haven't touched on much in my reviews is the quality of the paper, and yeah, it's fine. It's not the worst, it's not the best, it's not going to set the world on fire, it's fine. I just saw someone mention that in one of their own reviews, I can't remember who now, but I thought it was good to know the sort of quality paper you're going to be getting when you spend, as much as these books cost. Which these books cost quite a bit. Anyway, we get to our introduction, which takes us through basically a rundown of the different chapters and what they might be used for. So, stuff on general game mastering, different tools for the game master, stuff on whether you're running homebrew or running published adventures, whether you're running stuff that you've taken from Pathfinder, and how you can create stuff, how you can mix Pathfinder and Starfinder elements together, because they're running on the same system, so that you can do that. So this explains how you do it, what alterations and additions and subtractions you might want to make, and also how to create creatures and encounters. Yeah. We get to chapter 1, which is running the game. Which is fairly self-explanatory about preparing adventures, planning things. If you've run a game, this will be may not be the most useful. But it's all, I always like reading through these, because it's, at the end of the day, this is different people's opinions and advice on things that you may not have heard before. I say this a lot of times to people who, I don't have a job at the moment, so I fairly frequently will be sent to someone who may ask to look at my CV. And even though I've had, over the course of my life, several dozen different variations on my CV at this point, I'm never one to turn down someone looking at my CV, whether that's a friend or just someone who's, like a job coach or an employer, because everyone's got their own ideas on what's good and what isn't good in life. that's CVs or how to cook a meal or running a game of any TTRPG. So it's always worth giving this stuff a read, I think. You might get something out of it, you might not. And yeah, you might feel like you've wasted your time if you haven't. But I very, very rarely do I find that not reading through these things is not worth it. Get to our special considerations about adjusting rules, making alterations. And about how sometimes you're going to have to make a decision that you may not have thought about. One thing that I'm finding a lot running through Murder in Metal City is that book obviously can't think of everything. So quite often I'm having to go, okay, you want to do this thing, I like that thing. Let's do that, even though the book doesn't allow or say that thing can happen. So long as it doesn't break the narrative too much, then go for it. I think that's fun. Stuff on Starfinder Society Play, which, not too bothered by that. Rarity, 4 rarities, and that's fine. Running encounters. Well, running encounters. Advice on building things, because this game has a lot of different encounter mechanics, whether that's a fight or a chase or what have you. It's always interesting to look through things. Exploration. Get the awesome Witch Warper character again, who looks like they've got like solar panel armor. Stuff on travel speeds. And again, I take again from the player core. There's a lot of stuff like this that really break things down in a fairly straightforward way. Even if this Great Wall of Text is a little bit much for you, this is a lot more digestible. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm not. That might be picked up by the mic. I don't know. I'm not going to cover over it or tell anyone to. Yeah, this is my hobby as much as that is theirs. Yeah, stuff on downtime. Things you can do during downtime. Which I like downtime as a mechanic. I think it brings in sort of stuff you can do in roleplay. Long-term rest, if you've really had the shit kicked out of you. Difficulty classes, which is nothing new to any TTRPG, whether that's D&D or Pathfinder or Starfinder, or so again, nothing mind-blowing or new. Sure, new to TTRPGs, but still good to have. And a lot of the information here, if you've already got the Pathfinder GM core. I'm sorry, I bit my tongue and my mouth is watering a lot now. If you've got the Pathfinder GM core, a lot of this information will be repeated information. So it could be a question that you have to ask yourself: is this book worth it? Like, I do not have Pathfinder GM Core, so this book is worth it for me. But there might be a lot of stuff in this information in this book that you already know. You may not need it. In which case, don't buy it. Yeah. Campaign structure. So different types of campaigns. I quite like the way I like to run my games is interconnected one-shots, like a monster of the week thing. It might be that every now and again we have a longer stretch of games that cover one specific, it might be that we have a handful of one-shot style adventures, and then every now and again I bring in something big, something like Murder in Metal City that's going to take, a month or 2 months to do. But most of the time, it'll be maybe 1 or 2 sessions, 3 or 4 sessions if it's a bigger thing that, people can easily drop in and out of. I think that works, especially for in-person games. I think it just helps people feel more comfortable to drop in and out as they want or please. Yeah. Play goals, but yeah, like a lot of this comes down to talking to your players, I think. I recently just asked the people that are playing Murder in Metal City with me what sort of campaign, what sort of adventure they want to jump into next. Because even though we've only just started Chapter 2, I'm going to have to write... I want to do more homebrew stuff, so I'm going to have to write the adventure going forward. So, put out a poll. Said, all right, here's the stuff that I'm thinking about doing. Which one of these speaks to you most? And so far, it's looking like a heist, and I'm really intrigued by that. I think that could be really fun. About designing your adventure. Again, this... If you have got this book and you haven't got the Galaxy Guide, I highly recommend the Galaxy Guide, because both books sort of feed into each other quite nicely. Yeah. Really, like, this is quite good for me, someone who's running homebrew adventures. Yeah. I'm not gonna, like, as you can tell, I don't go into huge detail in things because I can't, even if I've read things, I can't see what's exactly is being in front of me at this distance. I'm basically going off what I remember and any notes I might have made. Here we have variant rules. Variant rules are fun. I'm using a few variant rules myself. Like the free archetype rule, I think is really fun. I think any time someone asks, hey, are we using this variant rule? The answer for me is almost definitely going to be yes. If people want to introduce new variant rules, I think that's more fun. Like, yeah. I need to have a proper read through a lot of the other variant rules because, yeah. There's some stuff that I'm like, ooh, I like that. Like your a core skill upgrading as you go on more frequently. get afflictions, like social media addiction. There's radiation sickness of various types. Environmental damage. Yeah. Hair's tickling my nose now. That's fun. Yeah. Another thing on weird environments, that's always interesting. A bit on hazards, including stuff like radiation. Different levels and how to run hazards, it's always interesting. Temporal rift. So, you know, can't have a weird sci-fi campaign without some timey-wimey nonsense, can you? Building your own hazards. If the number of cool things that you can do there wasn't enough, you can build your own. Because why wouldn't you? Building creatures. As I said, stuff on building creatures is interesting. It talks about one of the main things that really interested me is about having every creature having some or at least most creatures having some variety of melee option, not melee, of having some ranged option, because it fits the, I guess, meta of the game more. A lot more stuff is going to have ranged options in this compared to, say, Pathfinder. So having, even if it's some kind of weird screech or, you know, something like that a creature can do that causes damage, that's still good, because it might put off players. Yeah. That's weird. I like that. The art, as always, in these books is stunning. Yeah. Building items. If you want to create items for your players. Which I do. I really like making things for players. Building worlds, which I'm going to be doing a lot of. Yeah, so we're basically into the homebrewing side of things. Get a whole section on the Pact Worlds. So, Avalon, Castrovel, Absalom Station. So a lot of this will have been in the Galaxy Guide. Maybe this is probably just a little bit expanded on compared to that. Near space, the vast, the plains, get a thing on all major species. that have been introduced so far. There's not everything, but like everything that's in the core book and the Galaxy Guide so far is here, and a few extras actually. Worth a read, I think, if you're new to Starfinder. Building threats. All the factions, again, stuff that will have been in the Galaxy Guide. I don't know how much is new or different, but a lot of crossover with the Galaxy Guide, and even a little bit of crossover with the player core, I think. Religions, so plenty of stuff to work on. Subsystems, so a lot of this is things that you can add to your game, like research. There's chases. I've run a chase now. I'm not sure how I feel about them. Infiltration, if I'm doing a heist, I'm going to have to read through this bit more in depth. Hacking for all your mechanics and envoys, or your tech classes especially. Cinematic starship scenes, which is nice. They have said that they're going to be bringing in more sort of mechanical starship scenes that I hope are better than first editions, but still not quite as fluffy as this book. Stuff on vehicles. Mostly more standard vehicles. So you've got helicopters, you've got bikes. Nothing quite like mechs just yet. I imagine that's going to be in the tech book that's, I assume, coming out after Alien Core. And then we get onto the anachronistic adventures section for people who are playing with Pathfinder stuff, so you can have adventures set in the Pathfinder universe using Starfinder stuff, or vice versa. Stuff on using Pathfinder classes. And ancestries. So that's really cool. Anachronistic gear. The upgrade system works differently in Starfinder to Pathfinder. And then we get the glossary and index, as well as adverts for the player core, Murder of Metal City, and Alien Core. Which I think that date's moved. I think that was October previously. Yeah, so that's fun. Anyway, should you buy this? Yes, if you are a GM, absolutely buy this. Whether you buy it physically or digitally, I think it's a useful resource for you. To have, whether you're a home brewer or you're running stuff for the Starfinder Societal Adventurers group. Either or, that I think it's just a good thing to have, and I need to have a more in-depth read of it, because I've read bits and pieces of it just to be able to go, okay, I know what bits are where when I do this video, even though it took me longer to do this video. But yeah, I think this is worth the time and effort to find and buy. I think it being 60 quid is a bit much, given that it's a third smaller than PlayerCore. So reasonably speaking, it should be about a third cheaper, but that's fine. Life is expensive, hobbies are expensive, fine. But yeah, thanks for watching this video. I want to try and get a video out next week, even if it's past September. I'll try and get it out on Monday. I can't be sure, but at least I've got a Starfinder video out every week for a month now, which I'm happy with. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop the Starfinder content. It just means it's going to be a little bit more as and when I can think about making it, along with other things. So yeah, if you want to see more of that, like and subscribe. It helps the channel out and it makes me happy. So yeah, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. See you in the next one.